Good morrow, shut-ins and non-essentials and regular viewers. Quarantine sucks. No three ways about it. I hope I can take your minds off of it today. I'm going to do the classic I've been kind of sitting on for a while. The Count of Monte Cristo. It was written in 1844, and I'm going with the 2002 movie adaptation, where everything in the book and the movie is the same in the beginning, starting with the kind of almost accidental contact with Napoleon on the Isle of Elba, to the conspiracy to frame Edmond Dantes by Danglars, Mondego, and Villefort, to his time spent in Chateau d'If, his education and training from fellow prisoner Abbe Busoni. That's all the same except for the part where just before Dantes escapes, Busoni dies from a seizure disorder in the book and a tunnel collapse in the movie. The escape into the ocean is exactly the same in both the book and the movie. The introduction to the smugglers is different in the book and the movie. In the book, he just joins them with no hesitation and no pushback from them. In the movie, they don't give him a choice. Either join them or die. But he becomes friends with them and remains friends with them, and even takes one of them to keep by his side to help him retrieve his treasure. Which brings us to the revenge upon the three major players in the conspiracy. Starting with Danglars, who coveted the promotion that Dantes got on their little shipping vessel. When, after 13 years in Chateau d'If, Danglars had now, it was Dantes and Chateau d'If. I'm trying not to be confusing here, but during that time, Danglars had kind of monopolized the shipping industry in Marseille. And on the side, gotten rich through some embezzlements and very unfair dealings. When it's all brought to light by Dantes in the book, he comes clean and gives all that money back and is forgiven. In the movie, he refuses to come clean, and he winds up hanging from his own mast. Next to go down in the book is Fernand Mondego. In the movie is Villefort. Now, in the book, Fernand Mondego is a simple fisherman who doesn't know Edmond Dantes from Adam, but covets his first cousin Mercedes, who is engaged to Dantes, which was his reason to railroad him, to get her all to himself. When he marries her, he treats her well, and they have their child together. But when Dantes, now the Count of Monte Cristo, exposes his financial chicanery, Mercedes and their son Albert divorce him, and he dies by his own hand. In the movie, Fernand Mondego is a completely different person. He's a spoiled, rich kid who doesn't appreciate what he has, and is jealous of Edmond Dantes for his attitude of gratitude. He covets Mercedes, but once he gets Edmond out of the way and has Mercedes all to himself and her secret son with Edmond, he treats them both like crap. He cheats on her, he ignores their son, and after he is, caught with his hands in the cookie jar and is bankrupted by it all, he dies by Edmond's hand in a fight. Last but not least is Villefort, the prosecutor who couldn't stand to have any kind of, anything get in the way of his upward mobility in his professional life. In the book, he is a twice married prosecutor. And after getting out of Chateau d'If and finding out where he is, Edmond drives a wedge between Villefort and his second wife by discovering that, of her jealousy of his firstborn daughter from his first wife. Plants the idea of poisoning in her head, and then conspires with his daughter Valentine to fake her own death, which exposes the second Miss Villefort's poisoning and forces a confession out of her, which corners her with the choice of prison or death by her own hand. She chooses the latter, and takes the son she has with Villefort with her, which drives Mr. Villefort crazy with grief, and he winds up in the loony bin. In the movie, Dantes traps him in a confession, and Villefort winds up in Chateau d'If. Now, the book is not a chick flick. The movie is. In the book, Mercedes and Edmond never get back together. In the movie, they most certainly do. In the book, he just gives her what would have been their marriage home and enough money to just live the rest of her life on comfortably. In the book, he's carried on with, since, coming into his wealth, he did what most rich guys did back in the day and purchased his household staff, meaning he kept slaves, which was socially acceptable back then. And one of them, his house girl, becomes his girlfriend. And at the end of it all, at the end of the movie, Dantes buys the Chateau d'If, and he's sort of kind of celebrating his victory with his best friend by his side, his long-lost son by his side, and Mercedes by his side. The book ends with him kind of, wishing some young people he took under his wing well. And that's the story of the Count of Monte Cristo. And just to sort of knock out one last thought I am having, how does a classic story of this magnitude what does that have in common with this kind of sandwich? That just confuses me. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.